morning, boys and girls. We are starting our new book today, Jungle Book. I hope you guys are going to really enjoy this. I know many of you have probably seen the cartoon Jungle Book Disney movie, and then there was also one that was live action. Both of them follow along with the stories that we'll be reading, but you will definitely notice some differences too. So we're going to be reading a series of short stories that all follow Mowgli, the little boy that if you've seen the movies, you know who Mowgli is, and you'll see some of the same characters from the story pop up or from the movie that pop up in these stories. So it's written by a man named Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling was mainly a poet, and he was actually British, but he was born in India, and he left there when he was 5 to have an education somewhere, or like in England. But then he went back to India. He really wanted to be there for his adulthood. And he was kind of back and forth between England and India. But most of his writing is based off of his time that he spent in India, including this story. So this one is definitely supposed to be set in India, but it's a little unclear of where in India. Now, Rudyard Kipling was born, I'm trying to see where he was born, in Bombay. So that's where he was born in India, and he was born in like the middle of the 1800s. So this is around the same time as like Black Beauty was written. I think it was 1894 or so. So that's how old this book is. And once again, set in India. It was during a time that there were a lot of British people in India because there were basically England was in control of India. They colonized a lot of it. So that's what's happening along with this story and his background. But the boy in the story, Mowgli, is supposed to be a native boy to India. Okay, well, let's start reading. Mowgli's Brothers is the name of the first story, and all of these start off with a little poem. Because once again, Rudyard Kipling was mainly a poet. He wrote this book and some others. This is definitely his most famous one. So these are all little short stories. We're going to basically read one of the short stories a week. It's longer than a typical chapter that we would be reading, but shorter than like a full book. But they're all mixed into this book. So if you have one of these, you can read along with me starting on page 3. Excuse me. So page 3. I'm going to present my book just as I was doing with Farmer Boy. So Mowgli's Brothers. I also do have some pictures to show you all of characters that go along with the characters from this story. So I'll do that at the end whenever it comes up. Okay, here's the little poem to start off. Now Chill the kite brings home the night that Meng the bat sets free. The herds are shut in byre and hut, for loose till dawn are we. This is the hour of pride and power, talon and tush and claw. Oh, hear the call, good hunting all that keep the jungle law. Night song in the jungle. What is the jungle law, do you think? We will find out in this story. Now, it was 7 o'clock of a very warm evening in the Seeonee Hills when Father Wolf woke up from his day's rest, scratched himself, yawned, and spread out his paws one after the other to get rid of the sleepy feeling in their tips. Mother Wolf lay with her big gray nose dropped across her 4 tumbling, squealing cubs, and the moon shone into the mouth of the cave where they all lived. "Arr," said Father Wolf. "It is time to hunt again." And he was going to spring downhill when a little shadow with a bushy tail crossed the threshold and whined, "Good luck go with you, O chief of the wolves, and good luck and strong white teeth go with the noble children, that they may never forget the hungry in this world." It was the Jackal, Tabaki, the dish licker, and the wolves of India despise Tabaki because he runs about making mischief and telling tales and eating rags and pieces of leather from the village rubbish heaps. But they're afraid of him too, because Tabaki, more than anyone else in the jungle, is apt to go mad, meaning likely to go mad. And then he forgets that he was ever afraid of anyone and runs through the forest, biting everyone in his way. In this sense, it's not talking about mad like angry, mad like crazy is what it's saying. Even the tiger runs and hides when little Tabaki goes mad. For madness is the most disgraceful thing that can overtake a wild creature. We call it hydrophobia, but they call it diwani, the madness, and they run. So this jackal, and I'll pull up a picture of what a jackal's like. This jackal is frightening to everybody, even tigers, the ones who should be the top of the food chain and scare everything off. Even those tigers are afraid of the jackals when they go crazy. Let's pull it up. I had this little slideshow with some pictures of different characters, so. Okay, so there's pictures, by the way, of the mother wolf and her cub. And we'll get to Bagheera and Baloo and Akela, but here's Tabaki the jackal. That's what a jackal's like. Kind of like a hyena. Now, enter then and look, said Father Wolf stiffly, but there is no food here. For a wolf, no, said Tabaki, but for so mean a person as myself, a dry bone is a good feast. Who are we, the Giderlog, the jackal people, to pick and choose? So he's saying he's fine with anything, that they call him the dish licker because he just takes whatever is left of things. He scuttled to the back of the cave where he found the bone of a buck with some meat on it and sat cracking the end merrily. Well, he's getting actually the marrow out from inside. I don't know if you guys remember that, but when we were talking about the skeletal system, there is the inside of the bone that is filled with marrow, and you could actually eat it. So that's what he's eating. All thanks for this good meal, he said, licking his lips. How beautiful are the noble children. How large are their eyes, and so young too. Indeed, indeed, I might have remembered that the children of kings are men from the beginning. So he's saying this about actually the royalty, like the British royalty that would have been living in India at the time. And people thought that these kings were actually like men from the beginning. So basically that they are passed down, like they were chosen to be kings in that time. Now, Tabaki knew as well as anyone else that there is nothing so unlucky as to compliment children to their faces, and it pleased him to see Mother and Father Wolf look uncomfortable. Tabaki sat still, rejoicing in the mischief that he had made. Then he said spitefully, Shere Khan, the big one, has shifted his hunting grounds. He will hunt among these hills for the next moon, so he has told me. Oh, you know what? I thought he was talking about the nobles, like the actual princes and princesses, but I think that it's talking about actually the wolf cubs. Now, Tabaki sat still, rejoicing in the mischief that he had made. Then he said spitefully, Shere Khan is the tiger, the big one, has shifted his hunting grounds. He will hunt among these hills for the next moon, so he has told me. Now, Shere Khan was the tiger who lived near the Wangunga River, 20 miles away. He has no right. Now, imagine what's happening here. We've got wolves and a tiger. They probably eat some of the same things, right? And this tiger is shifting its hunting grounds and probably moving into some of the places that the wolves would otherwise hunt. By the law of the jungle, he says, he has no right to change his quarters without due warning. He will frighten every head of game within 10 miles, and I have to kill for 2 these days. So Father Wolf is mad. Why is he mad? Because Shere Khan is taking over, this tiger is taking over his hunting grounds, and it went against the law of the jungle, which is basically not written rules or anything, because they're just animals. But it's an unwritten rule that they would let each other know if they are shifting their hunting grounds, at least with due warning. This is Mother Wolf now. His mother did not call him Lungri, the lame one, for nothing, said Mother Wolf quietly. Speaking of Shere Khan the tiger, he was called a lame one, which means that he wasn't able to walk well. He has been lame in one foot from his birth. That is why he has only killed cattle. Now, the villagers of the Wangunga are angry with him, and he has come here to make our villagers angry. They will scour the jungle for him when he is far away, and we and our children must run when the grass is set alight. Indeed, we are very grateful to Shere Khan. So what's happening here? Now the villagers, talking about like actual people of the Wangunga River, are angry with him. He has come here to make our villagers angry too. So everyone's afraid of the tiger. Now, shall I tell him of your gratitude? Said Tabaki. She was being sarcastic, so definitely they don't want to have Tabaki the jackal saying, oh, we're so grateful to you, Shere Khan the tiger. Out, snapped Father Wolf, out and hunt with thy master. Thou hast done enough harm for one night. I go, said Tabaki quietly. Ye can hear Shere Khan below in the thickets. I might have saved myself the message. Father Wolf listened, and below in the valley that ran down to a little river, he heard the dry, angry, snarly, sing-song whine of a tiger who has caught nothing and does not care if all the jungle knows it. The fool, said Father Wolf, to begin a night's work with that noise? Does he think that our buck are like his fat Wangunga bullocks? Shh, it is neither bullock nor a buck he hunts tonight, said Mother Wolf. It is man. The tiger's trying to hunt a person. The whine had changed to a sort of humming purr that seemed to come from every quarter of the compass. It was the noise that bewilders woodcutters and gypsies sleeping in the oven, and makes them run sometimes into the very mouth of the tiger. Man, said Father Wolf, showing all his white teeth. Faugh! Are there not enough beetles and frogs in the tanks that he must eat man, and on our ground too? They do not like that Shere Khan is not following the law of the jungle, which would be that there's an order to what people should eat and where they should eat it. And we talked about this early on in the year with just ecosystems and how a little change can set everything off, right? Like a new animal, a new predator entering their environment changes things. Or, well, that's the main thing here. But also starting to hunt humans, that changes the people who are living there as well. Now, the law of the jungle, which never orders anything without a reason, forbids every beast to eat man except when he is killing to show his children how to kill, and then he must hunt outside the hunting grounds of his pack or tribe. So the law of the jungle is not going to have extra laws, but it says no beast, like wolf and tiger, is going to eat man except when he is killing to show his children how to kill. That means when men are hunting animals. So that's the only reason why they'd be able to do that. Now, the real reason for this is that man killing means, sooner or later, the arrival of white men on elephants with guns and hundreds of brown men with gongs and rockets and torches. So the white men being the Englishmen and the brown men being the Indians, that They are going to come with elephants and guns, rockets and torches. So they're going to come with weapons that no animal can stand up to. Then everybody in the jungle suffers. That makes sense. They want to respect men, protect even these men, because otherwise the animals are all going to suffer. Now, the reason the beasts give among themselves is that man is the weakest and most defenseless of all living things, and it is unsportsmanlike to touch him. So that's another reason. So they're protecting themselves, but they also realize that men are defenseless without these extra weapons. They are not able to defend themselves like a wolf or a tiger with claws, and they're not as fast. They say too, and it is true, that man-eaters become mangy and lose their teeth. So that's what would happen to animals if that happens, if they eat men. Now the purr grew louder and ended in the full-throated arg of the tiger's charge. Then there was a howl, an untigerish howl, from Shere Khan. He's missed, said Mother Wolf. What is it? Father Wolf ran out a few paces and heard Shere Khan muttering and mumbling savagely as he tumbled about in the scrub. The fool has had no more sense than to jump at a woodcutter's campfire and has burned his feet, said Father Wolf with a grunt. So the only reason he's grunting is because he kind of stupidly burned his feet. Tabaki is with him. Something is coming uphill, said Mother Wolf, twitching one ear. Get ready. The bushes rushed a little in the thicket, and Father Wolf dropped with his haunches under him, ready for his leap. Then, if you had been watching, you would have seen the most wonderful thing in the world. The wolf checked in mid-spring. He made his bound before he saw what it was he was jumping at. And then he tried to stop himself. Have you ever tried to jump and then change directions mid-jump? That's what's happening here. The result was that he shot up straight into the air for 4 or 5 feet, landing almost where he left the ground. Man, he snapped, a man's cub, look! Now directly in front of him, holding on by a low branch, stood a naked brown baby who could just walk, as soft and as dimpled a little atom as ever came to a wolf's cave at night. He looked up into Father Wolf's face and laughed. He's just a little baby. Is that a man's cub? Said Mother Wolf. I have never seen one. Bring it here. A wolf accustomed to moving his own cubs can, if necessary, mouth an egg without breaking it. And though Father Wolf's jaws closed right on the child's back, not a tooth even scratched the skin. Have you ever seen cats pick up their kittens that way, just by the scruff of the neck? That's what they're doing to the little baby Mowgli, but they're not scratching him at all, as he laid it, meaning the baby, down among the cubs. How little, how naked, and how bold, said Mother Wolf softly. The baby was pushing his way between the cubs to get close to the warm hide. Oh, he's just joining right in. Hi! He is taking his meal with the others. And so this is a man's cub. That's like Romulus and Remus. Remember that they were taken in by the Mother Wolf, according to that legend, in our Roman Empire study. And it says, now was there ever a wolf that could boast of a man's cub among her children, she says. I have heard now and again of such a thing, but never in our pack or in my time, said Father Wolf. He is altogether without hair, and I could kill him with a touch of my foot. He's not saying he wants to, he's saying he's so tiny that just a touch could kill him. But see, he looks up and he is not afraid. Now the moonlight was blocked out of the mouth of the cave, for Shere Khan's great square head and shoulders were thrust into the entrance. Tabaki behind him was speaking. My lord, it went in here. Shere Khan does us great honor, said Father Wolf, but his eyes were very angry. What does Shere Khan need? My quarry, a man's cub went this way, said Shere Khan. Its parents have run off. Give it to me. Shere Khan had jumped at a woodcutter's campfire, as Father Wolf had said, and was furious from the pain of his burned feet. But Father Wolf knew that the mouth of the cave was too narrow for a tiger to come in by. So they're pretty well protected because they're in this cave that's too small of an entrance for the tiger Shere Khan to come in. Even where he was, Shere Khan's shoulders and forepaws were cramped for want of room, as a man's would be if he tried to fight in a barrel. Now, that's a good way of picturing it, isn't it? Shere Khan, the tiger's shoulders and forepaws were cramped, just as if you were to try to fight inside of a barrel. The wolves are free people, said Father Wolf. They take orders from the head of the pack, and not from any striped cattle killer. The man's cub is ours, to kill if we choose. He's saying, we don't answer to you, Shere Khan. We answer to each other. The law of the jungle for them is that they just stick together, the wolves do, and other animals might feel like they have to show respect and listen to the tiger, but they don't feel that way. You choose and you do not choose. What talk is this of choosing? By the bull that I killed, am I to stand nosing into your dog's den for my fair dues? It is I, Shere Khan, who speak. Now the tiger's roar filled the cave with thunder. Mother Wolf shook herself clear of the cubs and sprang forward, her eyes like two green moons in the darkness facing the blazing eyes of Shere Khan. So they want to protect. They want to protect this little baby. There's Mowgli, who's actually looking a little bit more like he's not a baby, like a 4 or 5-year-old maybe. And there's the tigers protecting them from protecting Mowgli from Shere Khan there at the entrance, and here's the cubs down below. Okay, that's where we're going to end. So what do you all think so far? I know that the writing style is older and maybe a little harder than some that we've been used to, especially since there are some things that don't really make sense to us now that definitely would have at the time that he was writing. But it's really a beautiful story, and hopefully the characters are familiar enough to you, and I think that they'll become more and more familiar. Even if you haven't seen the movies before, you'll understand the tiger and the wolves, and as these new characters are introduced. But basically, we've got Mowgli. Well, we know his name's going to be Mowgli, but we don't know his name yet in the story. We've got this young boy who is mixed in with the cubs, and the wolves are acting like they don't really want to protect him, but they specifically don't want Shere Khan to take him. But it seems like they have a fondness for him, and so we'll see if he ends up entering their family kind of in the next, not chapter, because it's still part of the same story, but in our next day's reading. Okay, that's all for now. There's going to be a couple questions to answer, and then I will talk to you guys later. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.